The company denied my workers' comp after I got injured, saving the CEO's life. No proof, they said. The video I saved proved everything. His wife's divorce lawyer paid me more than workers' comp ever would. The CEO paid much more. Hey Reddit, buckle up because this story's got everything. Corporate betrayal, a CEO rescue gone wrong, denied insurance claims, and revenge so sweet it'll give you cavities. Oh, and I made more money from one video than I would have earned in 10 years at that company. Let's get into it. Name's Oliver, 34 male. I worked facilities maintenance at Horizon Media Group for 8 years. Not glamorous work. Fixing HVAC systems, electrical issues, plumbing disasters, keeping a 14-story office building from falling apart. Started right out of trade school at 26. Worked my way up to senior maintenance tech by 32. The pay was decent. $68,000 annually plus overtime. Benefits were solid. The work itself was straightforward. Show up at 7, handle whatever broke overnight, respond to tickets throughout the day, lock up at 4. Sometimes I'd pull evening shifts when major repairs needed doing after everyone left. Horizon Media Group occupied floors 8 through 14 of the Ashford Tower downtown. Advertising firm, about 320 employees, handled campaigns for major national brands. The CEO, Richard Hastings, ran the place from his corner office on 14. Never talked to him directly until the day I saved his life and ruined mine in the process. Richard was 52, looked younger thanks to personal trainers and expensive haircuts. Always wore tailored suits, drove a Tesla, had that executive presence thing down. His wife Natalie would visit sometimes. Early 40s, looked like she'd walked off a magazine cover. They seemed happy enough from what I could see. The building had issues, though. Old infrastructure masking as modern. The previous ownership group had done cosmetic renovations in 2018, but skipped actual system upgrades. So you'd have these gorgeous marble lobbies and updated office spaces, but behind the walls everything was held together with duct tape and hope. I'd been warning building management about the freight elevator for 6 months. The thing was original to the building, installed in 1987, barely maintained, making concerning noises every time it moved. I'd submitted 3 separate work orders flagging the cable tensioning system and the brake assembly. Each time, management said it passed inspection and to stop worrying. October 16th changed everything. That morning started normal. Got to work at 6:45 a.m., grabbed my tools from the maintenance office on sublevel 2, checked the overnight log. 2 HVAC tickets, 1 bathroom sink leak on floor 9, and a lighting issue in the executive conference room. Handled the HVAC first. Quick fixes, both of them. Filter replacements that took maybe 20 minutes total. The sink took longer. Had to replace the entire trap assembly because someone had been dumping something corrosive down there. Probably cleaning chemicals from the janitorial crew. Finished that around 10:30 a.m. Headed up to 14 for the lighting issue. The executive floor was quiet. Most meetings happened in the mornings, so by midday, it was just assistants and a few executives working in their offices. The conference room had 6 recessed lights, 3 of which were flickering. Ballast issue, simple enough. I was up on the ladder, tools spread out on the conference table, when I heard the freight elevator ding. That elevator wasn't supposed to service 14. It stopped at sublevel 2, ground floor, and floors 3 through 13. But occasionally someone would override it for furniture deliveries or major equipment moves to the executive floor. Heard voices. Richard Hastings and someone else. Talking about quarterly projections, client retention, the usual executive stuff. They got on the elevator. I kept working on the ballast, heard the elevator doors close, heard the motor engage. Then I heard the sound every maintenance tech dreads. Metal scraping metal, a grinding noise that meant something had failed catastrophically. Then screaming. The freight elevator was in freefall. I dropped my tools and ran. The elevator shaft was visible through a small window in the utility corridor. I got there in time to see the car dropping fast. The emergency brake should have engaged automatically. It didn't. The car was going to hit bottom. And from 14 floors up, nobody survives that impact. The elevator shaft had an emergency ladder system, required by fire code, but barely maintained. I yanked open the access panel and went in without thinking. Climbed down fast as I could, while the elevator kept falling below me. There's an emergency stop mechanism at every 3rd floor. Manual override requires pulling a lever that drops a catch bar into the track. It's a last resort system because it can shear the cables if engaged wrong. I was at the floor 12 access point when the elevator passed. Grabbed the override lever and pulled hard. The catch bar deployed. Caught the undercarriage of the elevator car about 6 feet below me. The impact was massive. The entire shaft shook. The catch bar held, but the force threw me off the ladder. I grabbed for anything, caught a cable conduit, felt something in my shoulder tear, held on with my other hand while my legs swung free over a 100-foot drop. The elevator car had stopped. I could hear Richard and the other guy, turned out to be the CFO Andrew, yelling inside. They were alive. I pulled myself back onto the ladder. My left shoulder was screaming. Couldn't lift that arm above chest height. But I got to the elevator access panel, forced it open, and helped pull both of them out onto the floor, 12 landing. Richard was shaking. Andrew looked like he might pass out. I got them into the floor 12 hallway and called emergency services. The fire department showed up in 14 minutes, paramedics in 16, building management in 20. By then, my shoulder was swelling badly, and my entire left side felt like someone had hit it with a sledgehammer. The paramedics wanted to take me to the hospital. I said I was fine. Richard himself insisted. You saved our lives. Let them check you out. So I went. St. Catherine's Hospital, downtown. They did x-rays, found a torn rotator cuff, damaged ligaments, and a hairline fracture in my clavicle. The ER doctor said I'd need surgery and probably 4 months of recovery. I called my supervisor, Dennis, from the hospital, explained what happened. He sounded concerned, said to focus on recovery, that workers' comp would handle everything. That was the last supportive thing anyone from Horizon Media said to me. The surgery happened 3 days later. Orthopedic surgeon reattached the rotator cuff, pinned the collarbone fracture, cleaned up the ligament damage. I woke up with my entire left side immobilized, pain that made me want to cry, and a recovery timeline of 16 to 20 weeks. Recovery was brutal. First 2 weeks I couldn't shower without help, couldn't tie my shoes, couldn't cut my own food. Kelly had to help me get dressed every morning, and I felt like a complete burden. The pain medication made me foggy and nauseous, but without it the shoulder pain was unbearable. Simple things became massive challenges. Opening jars, carrying groceries, getting in and out of bed without jarring the shoulder. I'd been independent my entire adult life, and suddenly I needed assistance with basic tasks that I'd never thought twice about. The surgeon's follow-up appointments were depressing. He'd examine the shoulder, nod professionally, and say the healing was progressing normally. But normal meant months of limited mobility. Normal meant I couldn't work. Normal meant watching my savings disappear while bills kept arriving. Week 3 post-surgery, I tried doing some light work around our apartment. Changed a light bulb in the kitchen. Took me 20 minutes and left me sweating from the effort of holding my arm at that angle. Kelly found me sitting on the kitchen floor afterward, frustrated and exhausted. You're supposed to be resting, she said. I'm going crazy doing nothing. Then rest productively. Read. Watch something. Plan what you're going to do when you're healed. She sat down next to me. But stop trying to be superhuman. You almost died saving 2 people who won't even acknowledge it. You're allowed to take time to recover. She was right, but that didn't make it easier. Workers' comp should have been automatic. Injured on the job, performing work duties, witnessed by multiple people. Open and shut case. Except Horizon Media's insurance carrier, Apex Coverage Solutions, decided otherwise. The denial letter arrived 2 weeks post-surgery. I was home, barely able to dress myself, living on my girlfriend Kelly's help and leftover pain medication, when the letter came. After thorough review of the incident report dated October 16th, your claim for workers' compensation benefits has been denied. Our investigation found insufficient evidence that your injuries occurred during the performance of assigned work duties. I read that sentence 4 times trying to make sense of it. Insufficient evidence. I'd saved their CEO from a fatal elevator crash. There were 2 witnesses. Building security had logged the emergency response. The hospital had my intake records showing I came directly from the Ashford Tower. Called the claims adjuster. Guy named Brett sounded bored. Mr. Oliver, the issue is we don't have verification that your injuries occurred in the manner you described. I pulled 2 people out of a falling elevator. My supervisor knows. The CEO knows. The CFO knows. Beatrice, we have an incident report stating the elevator malfunctioned. We don't have documented evidence linking your specific injuries to that incident. The paramedics documented everything. The hospital has records showing I came from that location. Medical records show you sustained injuries. They don't show causation. Brett's tone suggested he'd had this conversation before. Without video evidence or signed witness statements confirming the mechanism of injury, we can't approve the claim. Get statements from Richard Hastings and Andrew Chen then. They were there. We've reached out to Horizon Media Group for witness statements. They've declined to provide them. That stopped me cold. What? The company's legal counsel advised against employee testimony in potential liability situations. The elevator malfunction creates exposure for building ownership, maintenance contractors, and Horizon Media Group itself. Their attorneys don't want employees making statements that could be used in litigation. So I risked my life to save their CEO, and now they won't even confirm it happened? I understand your frustration, but without supporting documentation, we have to deny the claim. You can appeal the decision within 30 days. He hung up. I sat there trying to process what just happened. Then I called Dennis. Hey, about the workers' comp denial. Yeah, I heard. Legal department sent out a memo. We're not supposed to discuss the elevator incident with anyone. Insurance liability thing. Dennis, I can't work. I can't lift my arm. I've got 16 weeks of recovery ahead and no income. I know, man. It's messed up. But I can't help you. Orders from above. What am I supposed to do? File an appeal? Get a lawyer? I don't know. I'm sorry. He genuinely sounded sorry. But sorry doesn't pay medical bills or rent. I tried calling Richard Hastings directly. His assistant said he was unavailable and would return my call. He never did. Tried reaching Andrew, the CFO. Same result. Sent emails. Professional, polite emails explaining the situation and asking for help with the workers' comp witness statements. No responses. Left voicemails. Richard, it's Oliver from maintenance. The guy who pulled you out of the elevator. I really need your help with the insurance claim. Just need you to confirm what happened. Please call me back. Nothing. Tried going through Dennis again. Can you at least ask Richard if he'll talk to me? I asked. Legal said all communications about the incident have to go through them. And legal's not returning calls about this. So I'm just stuck? I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm sorry. The people whose lives I'd saved wouldn't even acknowledge I existed. My short-term disability through work paid 60% of my salary for 12 weeks. After that, nothing. The surgery cost $48,000. Insurance covered most of it, but I was still on the hook for $7,200 in deductibles and copays. Physical therapy wasn't covered under my plan. That was another $3,500 out of pocket. Kelly fronted the money. We'd been together 3 years, lived together for 18 months. She worked as a dental hygienist, made decent money, but we weren't exactly rich. Watching her drain her savings to cover my medical bills, while Horizon Media and their insurance carrier denied everything, destroyed me. Every time a new bill arrived, I felt worse. The orthopedic surgeon's bill, the anesthesiologist, the hospital facility fee, the follow-up appointments, the medications. Each one another reminder that I'd risked my life and gotten nothing but debt in return. Kelly never complained. She'd come home from work, make dinner one-handed while I sat uselessly on the couch and act like everything was fine. But I saw her checking her bank account more frequently, saw her skip buying things for herself, saw the stress lines forming around her eyes. I'll pay you back, I said one night after another bill arrived. I know. All of it. With interest. Oliver, we're together. Your problems are my problems. That's how this works. She sat down next to me. But yeah, it would be nice if the company you almost died for would help out even a little bit. The guilt ate at me. She shouldn't have been in this position. We should have been saving for a house, planning our future, living our lives. Instead, we were drowning in medical debt from an injury that never should have been my financial burden. 6 weeks post-surgery, I got the appeal denial. Same reasoning. Insufficient evidence, no video, no witness statements, no approved claim. That's when Kelly suggested the lawyer. You need someone who handles workers' comp denials. Someone who'll fight them. Found a guy through a friend's recommendation. Lawrence Wade, employment injury specialist. 30 years experience, aggressive reputation. He reviewed my case for free. This is retaliation, he said after reading the denial letters. They're protecting themselves from liability by screwing you. We can fight it, but workers' comp disputes take time. We're looking at 6 months minimum before we see a hearing. I don't have 6 months. I know. And honestly, even if we win, workers' comp only covers medical bills and lost wages. It doesn't compensate for what they've put you through. He leaned back. You said there were security cameras in that building? Everywhere. Hallways, elevator lobbies, mechanical rooms. The whole building's wired. Did any cameras capture the actual rescue? I thought about it. The utility corridor where I'd accessed the elevator shaft had a camera pointed at the entrance. The floor 12 hallway where I'd pulled Richard and Andrew out had cameras. The building security office definitely had footage. Probably. Yeah. Get that footage. If we have video proof, we can bypass the witness statement problem and force their hand. Getting the footage wasn't easy. I contacted building management. They said all security footage was controlled by the property management company, who said they couldn't release it without a subpoena or authorization from the tenant. Horizon Media's legal department denied the authorization request. I tried the fire department. They'd responded to the incident. Maybe they had records. They did. Incident report confirming they'd extracted 2 individuals from a stalled elevator on floor 12 and transported 1 individual with injuries to St. Catherine's Hospital. But no video. Then I remembered something. The maintenance office in sublevel 2 had its own security monitors. We used them to check who was accessing mechanical rooms, track vendor deliveries, verify after-hours work. The system was separate from the main building security. I still had my building access key. Technically, I was on medical leave, not terminated. The key still worked. Went to the building at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Kelly drove me. Couldn't drive myself one-handed. Parked 3 blocks away. Walked in through the sublevel delivery entrance. My key card got me past the first security door. The walk from the car to the building felt longer than it should have. Every shadow looked like security. Every sound made me tense. What I was doing wasn't technically illegal. I still had authorized access, but it sure felt like trespassing. The delivery entrance was deserted at this hour. Loading dock empty, overhead lights humming in that fluorescent way that makes everything look slightly sinister. My footsteps echoed off concrete walls as I headed toward the maintenance office. Past the mechanical room where I'd spent hundreds of hours maintaining equipment. The boiler room where I'd fixed emergency leaks at midnight. The storage area where I'd organized supplies that nobody else cared about organizing. 8 years of work, and now I was sneaking around like a criminal trying to prove I deserved basic workers' comp coverage. The maintenance office was exactly like I'd left it. Dennis had mentioned they'd brought in a contractor to handle my workload while I was out, but the office itself was unchanged. My coffee mug still sat on the desk. The work schedule whiteboard still had my handwriting on it from October 15th. Felt like walking into a time capsule of my old life. The security monitor system was ancient, a 12-camera setup recording to a local hard drive with 2 weeks of rolling storage. I pulled up October 16th, found the timestamp. My hands were shaking as I navigated the interface, partly from nerves, partly from the shoulder injury making fine motor control difficult. Had to use my right hand for everything, which made the process slower. The utility corridor camera had caught everything. Watched myself sprint to the elevator shaft access. Watched myself climb down the emergency ladder. The angle was bad, but you could see me reach for the override lever, see the elevator car catch on the emergency stop, see me lose my grip and nearly fall. Seeing it from this angle made my stomach drop. I'd been maybe 6 inches from falling to my death. The emergency ladder had barely held. If I'd lost my grip completely, or if the catch bar had failed, I'd have fallen 12 floors onto elevator cables and mechanical equipment. The floor 12 hallway camera showed me pulling Richard and Andrew out of the elevator access panel. Showed Richard's face, absolute terror. Showed Andrew collapsing against the wall. Showed me barely staying upright while calling for help. Both cameras had timestamps. Both clearly showed the incident occurring during business hours. Both proved everything I'd claimed. I copied the footage to a USB drive. Took maybe 10 minutes. Then I did something else. I copied every piece of security footage from October 15th through October 20th. Every camera, every angle. 60 hours of footage total, just in case. Left the building the same way I'd entered. Kelly drove us home. I watched the footage again on my laptop to make sure it was clean. Perfect. Everything I needed to prove my case. Lawrence Wade reviewed the footage the next day. He actually smiled. This is exactly what we needed. I'll submit this with the appeal and demand immediate claim approval. They can't deny video evidence? How long? 2 weeks, maybe less. The video removes any doubt about causation. They'll have to approve or face a lawsuit they'll absolutely lose. I should have been relieved. But something felt off. These people had already shown they'd sacrifice me to protect themselves. Why would video footage suddenly make them ethical? Turns out the footage was worth more than a workers' comp claim. Way more. 3 days after Lawrence submitted the video to Apex Coverage Solutions, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Answered anyway. Mr. Oliver, my name is Patricia Vance. I'm an attorney representing Natalie Hastings in a matrimonial matter. I'd like to discuss the security footage from the Ashford Tower incident on October 16th. Matrimonial matter. Richard's wife. Divorce. I'm not sure what that has to do with Mr. Oliver. The footage you obtained shows my client's husband in a compromising position. We're prepared to compensate you for access to that footage and your cooperation as a potential witness. Compromising position? He was in an elevator. He was in an elevator with his executive assistant, Lauren Mitchell. The two of them were alone, and according to the timestamp, they were in that elevator for approximately 4 minutes before the malfunction occurred. My brain started connecting dots. Richard and Andrew, I'd thought. But the person with Richard hadn't been Andrew. I'd just assumed because they'd both been in suits, both been executive types. Lauren Mitchell, Richard's assistant, mid-30s, attractive, efficient, always at his side during meetings. The footage from the 14th floor elevator lobby, Patricia continued, shows Mr. Hastings and Ms. Mitchell entering the elevator together at 10:42 a.m. They're clearly in physical contact, intimate contact. The footage from floor 12 when you extracted them shows Ms. Mitchell's appearance consistent with interrupted intimate activity. I pulled up the footage on my laptop while we talked, zoomed in on the moment I'd pulled them out of the elevator access panel. Lauren's blouse was partially unbuttoned, Richard's tie was loosened, shirt untucked. They'd both been disheveled in ways I hadn't registered at the time. How did you know about this footage? I asked. Apex Coverage Solutions filed your appeal documentation with attached video evidence. My investigator obtained a copy through discovery channels in the divorce proceedings. Patricia's voice was professionally neutral. The footage proves ongoing infidelity, which significantly impacts the settlement negotiations. My client is willing to pay $75,000 for full access to all security footage from that date range, plus your agreement to provide testimony if needed. $75,000? More than I'd make in a year, more than I'd spend on medical bills and recovery, more than workers' comp would ever pay me. What exactly would I be testifying to? Simply what you observed. The condition of the individuals when you extracted them from the elevator. The timeline of events. Your expertise as a building maintenance professional regarding whether that elevator was being used for its intended purpose. Translation. Confirming that Richard and Lauren had been in that elevator for reasons other than transportation. That they'd been in there long enough for activities that definitely weren't work-related. I need to think about it. Of course. But Mr. Oliver, I should mention, the divorce proceedings move quickly. My client has already filed. Discovery deadlines are tight. If you're interested, we'd need your response within 48 hours. She gave me her office number and hung up. I sat there staring at the footage. Richard Hastings, the CEO who'd refused to verify my workers' comp claim, who'd let his legal team throw me under the bus to protect the company, had been having an affair with his assistant. And I had video proof. The revenge potential was massive. But $75,000 would change my life, pay off the medical bills, cover my lost wages, give Kelly back her savings, and leave me with a cushion while I recovered. Part of me felt conflicted. This was someone's marriage, someone's private life. Was I really going to profit from exposing an affair? Then I remembered sitting in my apartment, opening denial letters. Remembered calling Richard's office and being told he'd call back. Calls that never came. Remembered watching Kelly's savings disappear, while the company that benefited from my heroism refused to acknowledge I existed. They'd made a choice to protect themselves at my expense. Now I was making a choice to protect myself at theirs. Called Lawrence Wade. Explained the situation. Legally, you're in the clear, he said. The footage was obtained through legitimate access. You had a valid key card and weren't trespassing. You can sell it to whoever you want. But if you're asking my advice, take the money. Workers' comp will pay your medical bills and maybe 12 weeks of wages. This is 10 times that amount. What about the workers' comp appeal? We'll still win that. The video proves your case. But this is about more than winning. This is about getting what you deserve after they tried to screw you. It feels like I'm profiting from someone else's personal mess. You're being compensated for evidence you legally obtained that has value in a legal proceeding. Richard created this mess himself. You're just providing documentation of what he chose to do. That night, Kelly and I talked it through. She'd been supportive through everything. Covering bills, helping me with basic tasks I couldn't do one-handed, dealing with my frustration when the denials kept coming. They left you to deal with this alone, she said. Richard wouldn't even take your phone call. Now his personal mess is your leverage? Use it. I called Patricia Vance the next morning. I'll do it. $75,000 for the footage and testimony if needed. Excellent. I'll have a contract drawn up. We'll need the files transferred securely and your deposition scheduled within 2 weeks. The contract arrived that afternoon. Straightforward terms. $75,000 in exchange for all security footage from October 15th to 20th, plus agreement to provide truthful testimony regarding the events of October 16th if called as a witness in Hastings versus Hastings. I signed it, transferred the footage through their secure portal. The money hit my account 3 days later. $75,000. Enough to clear every medical bill, pay Kelly back with interest, and still have $40,000 left over. But the story doesn't end there. The workers' comp appeal went through exactly like Lawrence predicted. Apex Coverage Solutions saw the video evidence and immediately approved my claim. Full medical coverage, wage replacement for 16 weeks, even covered the physical therapy. The approval letter was hilariously different in tone from the denials. Upon review of additional evidence, we are pleased to approve your claim for benefits related to the October 16th workplace injury. Too late, though. I'd already paid everything out of pocket. The reimbursement was nice, but the real money had come from Patricia Vance. Then, Richard found out. 2 weeks after the footage transfer, I got a call from an unknown number. This time, I let it go to voicemail. The message was from Richard himself. "Oliver, it's Richard Hastings. We need to talk. Call me back immediately." His voice had that executive command tone, the assumption that I'd jump when he said jump. After 8 weeks of being ignored, of having my calls screened, of watching his legal team deny my existence, he actually thought I'd call him back. Deleted the message. He called again the next day. Left another message. "Oliver, I know you sold footage to Natalie's attorney. That footage is company property. You had no right to access it or distribute it. Call me back or you'll be hearing from our legal team." Company property. The same company that had refused to confirm I worked there when my workers' comp claim needed verification. Forwarded the voicemail to Lawrence Wade. He called back within an hour, laughing. "He's bluffing. You had legitimate building access. The footage was obtained legally, and even if he wanted to pursue it, any lawsuit would require him to admit the footage exists and acknowledge what it shows. He's not going to do that. Well, what if he tries anyway? Then we countersue for the workers' comp denial, the refusal to provide witness statements, and the deliberate obstruction of your legitimate insurance claim. We'd win, easily. Plus, Discovery would give us access to all his communications with Lauren Mitchell. He knows that. This is intimidation, nothing more." Richard called 4 more times over the next week. I blocked his number. Then, Horizon Media's general counsel sent a formal letter demanding I return all security footage and sign a non-disclosure agreement. The letter threatened legal action for theft of company property, breach of confidentiality, and unauthorized access to security systems. Lawrence responded with a letter of his own, pointed out that I had authorized building access at the time of footage acquisition, noted that Horizon Media had specifically refused to provide evidence for my workers' comp claim, creating the necessity for me to obtain it independently, reminded them that any litigation would require discovery that would expose far more than they wanted exposed. The general counsel never responded, but the best part came 6 weeks later. Patricia Vance called again. "Mr. Oliver, I wanted to update you on the proceedings. The security footage proved decisive. My client has reached a settlement agreement. The terms are confidential, but I'm authorized to tell you that your cooperation was instrumental." "That's great. There's one more thing. My client wanted to express her gratitude beyond our initial agreement. She's authorized an additional payment of $50,000 as a gesture of appreciation for your assistance in this matter. $50,000. On top of the $75,000, plus the workers' comp reimbursement. I'd made more from one video than I would have earned in 2 years at Horizon Media. The money arrived a week later. Kelly and I stared at the bank balance like it might disappear. "What do you want to do?" she asked. "First, pay you back everything you covered. With interest." "You don't have to." "I do. You saved me when nobody else would." I pulled up the banking app. "Then I want to take 6 months off, actually recover. No rushing back to work, no stress about money, just heal. And after that, maybe start my own business. Facilities consulting, building maintenance, safety audits. I know this industry. I know what buildings need. And I sure as hell know how to spot problems before they become disasters." We used the money exactly that way. Paid Kelly back in full. Took 6 months to recover properly. The physical therapy worked. Got most of my range of motion back, enough to work again. The shoulder would never be perfect, but it was functional. During recovery, I got my contractor licenses updated, built a business plan, and started networking with property management companies. Launched Apex Facility Solutions 8 months after the elevator incident. The business plan took 6 weeks to finalize. Sat at my kitchen table with spreadsheets, industry contacts, and Kelly's practical advice about what actually made sense versus what sounded good. She'd helped her father start his plumbing business years ago, understood the mechanics of small business operations. "You need 3 things," she said. "Clients who'll actually pay you, enough margin to cover overhead, and a reputation that spreads organically." Started with the reputation. Reached out to every property manager I'd worked with during my 8 years at Horizon. Explained I was starting my own facility consulting business. Most were supportive. A few immediately offered contracts for buildings they managed. The first client was a 6-story medical office building in the suburbs. Their maintenance had been handled by a company that did surface-level work, changed filters, fixed obvious problems, ignored everything else. I did a full building assessment, found dozens of deferred maintenance issues that would become expensive disasters if not addressed. Showed the property manager my findings. Your boiler's running on borrowed time. The roof drainage system's clogged in 3 locations. Your emergency generator hasn't been tested in 2 years and probably won't start if you need it. How much to fix all this? About $45,000 over 6 months. But if you wait, you're looking at $200,000 in emergency repairs when things fail catastrophically. They hired me to manage the whole project, made sure to document everything, take before and after photos, show exactly what the money was buying. That first job established my reputation for thorough work and honest assessment. Word spread. Property managers talked to each other. Within 2 months, I had 4 clients. Within 4, I had 8. The irony of naming my company after the insurance carrier that tried to screw me wasn't lost on anyone. Within 6 months, I had 12 clients. Small commercial buildings mostly. Places that needed someone who actually understood infrastructure instead of just pushing paper. The work was good, the money was better, and I answered to nobody but myself. 1 year after the elevator incident, I was pulling 6 figures from my own business. Had hired 2 employees, both former maintenance techs I'd worked with, who were tired of being treated like disposable tools by corporate employers. Kelly and I got married that spring. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. Used some of the settlement money for a honeymoon in Costa Rica. First real vacation I'd taken in 10 years. Life was better than it had been at Horizon Media. Way better. But I kept tabs on what happened there. Couldn't help myself. Richard's divorce went through. From what I heard through industry contacts, Natalie got an extremely favorable settlement. The details were sealed, but rumors suggested she'd walked away with most of their assets. Richard had to sell their house, downsize significantly, and his reputation in the business community took a major hit. The house sale was particularly brutal from what I heard. They'd owned a place in the expensive hills outside the city. 5 bedrooms, pool, the whole executive lifestyle package. Worth about $3 million. In the divorce settlement, Natalie got the house. Richard had 60 days to move out. He ended up in a condo downtown. Nice enough, but a massive downgrade. From a house with a view to a 12th floor apartment with a view of other apartments. The kind of place mid-level managers lived in, not CEOs. His reputation suffered worse than his real estate situation. Word spread quickly in the advertising industry. Not the affair details, those stayed relatively private, but the perception that Richard had poor judgment, made reckless decisions, let personal issues affect his professional effectiveness. 2 major clients pulled their accounts from Horizon Media within 3 months of the divorce filing. Officially, it was about performance metrics and strategic realignment. Unofficially, everyone knew they didn't want to work with a company whose leadership was imploding. Lauren Mitchell, the assistant, was quietly let go 3 months after the incident. No public reason given, but everyone knew. Her LinkedIn showed she'd moved to a different city, different industry, trying to outrun the scandal. Heard she'd gone to Phoenix, working some administrative role at a construction company. Total career reset. She'd been positioning herself for an executive track at Horizon, probably thought the relationship with Richard would accelerate that. Instead, it nuked her reputation and forced her to start over in a new market where nobody knew her history. Horizon Media itself started declining, lost 2 major clients within 6 months. The elevator incident had made local news. People knew their CEO had been trapped in a malfunctioning elevator, even if the affair details stayed private. Questions about building safety, oversight, corporate culture started circulating. The advertising industry is small. Reputation matters. When your CEO gets rescued from an elevator, he was trapped in with his assistant. People talk. When your company denies workers' comp to the guy who saved him, people notice. When your best employees start leaving, competitors pay attention. I watched it happen through industry contacts and LinkedIn updates. Horizon's senior creative director left for a competitor. Their head of client services got poached. 3 account managers jumped ship in the same month. Brain drain accelerated their decline. Richard stepped down as CEO about 14 months after the incident. Announced it as a planned transition, but industry people knew better. The board had forced him out. The company never recovered its reputation. Last I checked, they downsized to about 180 employees and moved to cheaper office space across town. And me? I was thriving. Dennis, my old supervisor, called me about 18 months after I'd left. Oliver, hey, long time. Dennis, what's up? I heard you started your own business. That's great, man. Really great. Thanks. It's going well. Awkward pause. Listen, I wanted to apologize for how things went down. I should have fought harder for you. Should have pushed back when legal told us not to cooperate. I felt terrible about it. Appreciate that. Also, I'm wondering if you're hiring. Horizon's going downhill fast. I'm looking to jump ship before it goes under completely. I thought about it. Dennis had been a decent supervisor. Not brave enough to stand up to corporate when it mattered, but not actively malicious either. Just another guy trying to keep his job. Send me your resume. Can't promise anything, but I'll look at it. He sent it that afternoon. I hired him 2 weeks later. He'd been good at his job, and I needed someone with institutional knowledge to help train my growing crew. At his interview, he asked the question I knew was coming. How'd you do it? Go from that disaster to this? I had something they wanted, and I made them pay for it. He nodded slowly. The elevator footage. Among other things. Richard's still bitter about that. Heard him complaining at a networking event. Said you betrayed the company, sold him out, ruined his marriage. His marriage ruined itself when he started having an affair in an elevator. I leaned back in my chair. I just provided evidence of what already existed. If he'd treated me with basic decency, verified my workers' comp claim, provided a witness statement, done literally anything to help, things might have gone differently. Would you have still sold the footage? Probably. But I might have felt worse about it. Dennis ended up being a solid employee, brought professionalism and experience to the team. Never talked about Horizon Media unless I brought it up first. 2 years after the incident, I ran into Richard at a building industry conference. He was there representing some small consulting firm he'd started after leaving Horizon. Saw me across the convention floor, and his face went through several emotions: anger, embarrassment, something that might have been regret. He started walking over. I turned and went the other direction. Nothing to say to him. Nothing he could say that would matter. Later that day, he sent a message through LinkedIn. We should talk. Clear the air. I deleted it without responding. Some people think I should have had more sympathy, that Richard was a human being who made mistakes and deserved forgiveness, that holding grudges isn't healthy. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.